Hey, Joe.
No.
Joe Biden's ad. What did you think?
Well, if politics is all about contrast, and it usually is when you're going up against an incumbent, it's about contrast, then there's a great contrast there. You have a very hopeful, almost Reagan-esque vision of where this country can be. You see a lot of smiles. You see a lot of hugs. You see Joe Biden talking about expanding education, and also something that is so important. While everybody else is talking about scrapping Obamacare, scrapping the Affordable Care Act, Joe Biden is embracing it and saying, hey, you know what?
Let's move forward.
We did great things with that, but let's make it even better. That is a strong message. And it's quite a contrast with Donald Trump. Mika, what did you think?
Well, I liked it a lot. I think it harkened back to some of the positives of the Obama era, but it didn't depend on them. And he stood up for himself in the ad. His experience speaks for itself. When you're making a decision in the Democratic field, it's hard not to look at Joe Biden's experience, not just professionally, with decades serving in Washington and then wanting to go back again, which is saying a lot about who he is, but also personally. And you look at what this nation is looking for, kind of a reaffirmation of who we are.
Yeah.
It feels like he's the perfect vessel for that. That's my opinion. That's how I personally feel.
You know, but before we actually go to the rest of the panel, let's Alex, can we play the ad one more time? I want to have everybody look at it one more time, and then going to go around the table really quickly, get thoughts.
We know in our bones this election is different. The stakes are higher, the threat more serious. We have to beat Donald Trump. And all the polls agree Joe Biden is the strongest Democrat to do the job. No one is more qualified. For 8 years, President Obama and Vice President Biden were an administration America could be proud of. Our allies could trust, and our kids could look up to. Together, they worked to save the American economy, to pass the historic Affordable Care Act, protecting over 100 million Americans with pre-existing conditions. Now, Joe Biden is running for president with a plan for America's future. To build on Obamacare, not scrap it. To make a record investment in America's schools. To lead the world on climate. To rebuild our alliances. Most of all, he'll restore the soul of the nation. Battered by an erratic, vicious, bullying president. Strong, steady, stable leadership. Biden, president.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
So, Reverend Al, first of all, I want to know your thoughts on the ad, but also, isn't it something you see Charlottesville, and you see the white supremacists with the torches, the neo-Nazis with the torches, and separated from that now a few years, it's obvious that is the defining moment so far of the Trump presidency that tells you everything you need to know about the divides between how Donald Trump wants to govern and how his opponents are going to try to explain to Americans they want to govern. What are your thoughts?
I couldn't agree with you more. I think, first of all, about the ad, I think it was well done because it does set Joe Biden in the whole legacy of the Obama years. And at the same time, it deals with the contemporary scene that we're dealing with, which I think you accurately say a defining moment with Charlottesville and this whole rancor and acrimony that we've come to almost see as normal under the Trump years. One of the things that I think that was subtle here is he answers the question of how he's going to project himself because they keep saying the age question. Well, Joe Biden is in his 70s. He's 8 or 10 years older than me. How do you try to campaign as a new thing rather than being the continuity of what you felt was best and stable? And I think that ad does that. He promotes himself as the continuity of good years this country saw and as someone that can deal with the contemporary scene. So I think it was done well, and I think it is the way he can try to sell his candidacy without trying to act like a man in his mid-70s that's all of a sudden become a new rock star.
Right, and Willie, he The ad's very powerful. It's very strong. It's obviously going to help him. The question is, of course, how does he do in the next debate? How does he do in all the debates?